Hello, YouTube modeling community. This is Rusty Rotor with part 5 of the Aqua Rod race team. In this part, we will see kind of finishing up the suspension, the floor pan area kind of, and we're going to get that all into primer. That way we can come back and start our final assembly of the suspension, drivetrain, the engine, so on and so forth. Not much to talk about prior to. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. It's been a really fun build because, the van is all stock. We are adding a couple different components, aftermarket components, the traction bars in the rear, and then, of course, a custom paint job. And that's pretty much it where we're going to be at on the van itself. The van will be the first thing we finish as far as being complete, I guess. The trailer will go really fast, but we got to stop and we got to do some detail on the trailer as far as the runner boards. We may run some wires from the taillights just to give some details to that. I got a little piece of chain I got to find. I know I have it. I just got to find it to make the hoops from the trailer to the trailer hitch of the truck, or the van in this case. So we'll have that detail there. So yeah, there'll be a little detail on the trailer itself. So that actually will all go really fast. The boat will be pretty much masked and painted at the same time as the van body, and we'll go into paint at the same time. It's just once we get it painted, we're going to be stopping because we are adding that real wood laminate to the top decks of the boat. We are going to detail the interior of the boat, the engine, so that when we get to that, that's going to be the really big focal point. The van, we're just kind of perusing through and following the instructions, and we add a little detail here and there. Like I said, we are adding a distributor to the engine, the traction bars, and that's primarily it for on the body or the van itself. So without further ado, let's get into it. We are going to be at a different angle today with the camera, and we're going to see how that works and functions. I've done it in the past. It worked okay. So you guys can let me know, down in the comments what you thought, if the view is good, or, any suggestions to improve is always greatly appreciated. So again, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, guys, girls, we're back. As you can see, we do have a front suspension. We did figure it out. We had to do most of that off camera. Our spindles are functional right now, and it says it can be a functional steering, but we're not going to. Once we glue this, wait a minute, guys. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about all the jostling and moving around. I dropped something on the floor and it was important, so it was worth it. It's our wheel pin. Let's get us set back up here. There we go. So, back to where we're at. This is all glued. It's all been set up and dry for a week. I've not had a lot of time to work on this, so this video will not be real long. We're going to focus on getting these front suspension pieces put in, and we're going to have to let that dry, and then we're going to come back and get this all painted, and along with the bottom of this. That way we can get the engine built and put in, and the wiring done to it, and then we can get this all final assembled and get our tires and wheels on, and then we're really ready for, body work. I do have to find my traction bars so I can get those on here. They're up in here somewhere. So as I said in the intro, we're going to do this and go to primer. This video will probably be just us getting these pieces on, Part 6 will show us going into the spray booth to actually primer everything that we have to get to this point. And that little part I dropped, you can see right here is that little pin. It's for the wheel. So we don't want to lose that. Now this piece here, as you guys can see, it's not real bad. We got to be careful and clip this off. We do have a gearbox. So we'll have to look at the instructions and see how this fits in. And we have them within hand. That's underneath. That's back. That's engine. And here we go. So we can see right here. That's that piece. There's these little things here that goes on there, and then the other end goes in here. This will go up through. Showing it. So it'd be this hole, I'm assuming. Oh no, it doesn't show that. But I'm assuming it's going to go up through this hole right here. And we have some black putty that matches like what they use on a real car to cover close-in gaps to weatherproof them. And we'll probably put a little bit of that around there and we'll work it in and make it look real. Right now it just shows it going up through here, which if we put this in, we can see that it's going to go into that hole there that you see down in the lower left corner. So that's okay. So we got to find these little eyelets and this piece. So we'll pause it here. I'll get all these pieces, this piece, these two little pieces, and this piece all ready. And then we'll come back and we'll start getting that in. So bear with me, guys. We'll be right back. Okay, guys. As you can see down here on the table, hopefully you can see. I'll scoot them right here a little bit so you can. These are our components. Here's our little, whatever they're called. We have our idler arm and links, and then our steering gearbox and steering shaft. So we need to get these cleaned up a little bit. So let me angle you up a little bit. Sorry for all the jostling. There we go. So you can see we got a little ridge or mold line right here. We got to get rid of, and this little hump right here. Clean up the very end a little bit. We have a little bit up here. That's visible. So we just need to clean it up a little bit. So we'll start up here. Again, I hope you guys can see this. This is the part where I talk about shaving. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I'm just kind of coming down the side. And once I get that little spot removed, then I can hit it with a little sandpaper. Clean it up. And go down onto the round part and clean up the mold line on it so it's not visible. There we go. Looks like we got it pretty good. And we got a mold line all the way down. So quickest thing to do is just sand. I could shave all the way down this. But sanding, because it's not real prominent. So sanding will clean it up really quick for what we need. Anyways, and there's a little contact point right down here. I'm sanding. If I don't have to scrape it, I don't want to. And then down here on the very bottom is really kind of prominent, so we may have to come in with a knife and scrape it. We'll see what sandpaper does. Oh, no, sandpaper got it pretty good. I believe. Kind of got to sand it all the way around. We'll switch to the rough side, because that ain't. Doesn't take a whole lot, guys. I mean, I know sometimes things think like, oh my God, that's going to be so hard. It's really not. Once you do it, you realize that it doesn't take much. You just want to be mindful that it is a very tedious little part. You don't want to take too much of the detail away from it. And we know if there's one mold line, there's another one. And sure enough, there's one all the way down and up. So we want to come through and take that one off as well. sandpaper, or a sanding stick in this case, works really well. It only takes a minute or two to clean up a little part and, so have that model look. You're transforming it and making the detail there a little more realistic and more appeasing to the eye with very minimal effort. If they're stubborn, you can always come back in here and just, scrape down, and that does really well too. But overall, I think we got it pretty good. I mean, I know some of it's probably still visible, but once it's primered and painted, it's not going to be. So we got that piece ready. This piece, scoot you back here a little bit. There we go. You can see I need to remove this piece, so I just clip it off, and then I want to examine it and see. So I do need to shave it just a little bit. It's always good to have a sharp blade and a dull blade on hand. The dull blade works good for mold lines. Not super dull, but dull enough that it's not going to really do anything. And just a little shaving will take that contact point away, and then you can come back and hit it with your sandpaper just to make sure. And there, I think we got it. So let me know what you guys think. It looks pretty good. It's not the best detail, but I've seen worse. And these little tabs right here, right in front of my sanding stick, those need to be pretty flat. So we're going to try to hit it with sandpaper a little bit. That way we get a better contact point on the spindles. If I can't get it, then your next result is to hold it on something and shave the end with your knife. I know it's out of focus, but here you guys, you can see what I'm doing. Just kind of shaving it, getting it as flat as possible so we got a nice, flat, smooth contact point. Flip it over, do the other side. Just don't want to take too much or put too much pressure where you break the piece, because it is very fiddly. Now, could I scratch build this? Yes. But I don't want to have to. So we got a pretty good look now. We do have a little, I see it now, mold line here. So we'll just scrape it and clean that up a little bit. Doesn't take nothing. See, that part's already done. Come back through there. I mean, this is a piece that's going to be visible. So, the better we can clean up the piece, the better it's going to look at the end. So, just come through and we just run our blade sideways, clean up all the little burrs. Double check everything. There we go. Looks pretty good and clean now. So we know we got a good contact point. So we don't need that. Here's our little pieces. So what we do want to do in this case, we're going to leave them on the sprue, and we're going to clean them up while they're on the sprue. I always take the tip of my blade and put it inside the hole and clean it out a little bit, ream it, whatever you want to call it. That just helps make sure that the parts fit together with no problem. Tight is okay, but when it's real tiny little fiddly parts like this, tight can also be a problem. It can cause this to break here. We don't want that to break, and we don't want the idler arm to break. The holes are two different sizes, so just be mindful of that. You don't want to waller it out so much that they're too big. Right now we're just looking for clean. And we pretty much have achieved that. There we go. So you can see. So we know we're good. Good there. So we got our three components that all coincide to this right here. Now as you can see, like, look at the instructions here. You can see this. Get it so you can see it. The idler arm, the bow goes towards the back of the vehicle, and then these little contact points here go down to It doesn't show it, or does it show it? It goes to these points right here, which are the spindles. Now, you could be very precise and drill a hole through here and have this pinned so it stays functional. It's a fairly easy process, and it sounds like a lot and be really tedious, and it is. I'm not going to lie to you. But in the same fact, you know, it's going to be almost essential, because the way it looks, okay, I said it wrong, guys. I apologize. It goes up underneath like this. So yeah, you could drill down through and drill into this and pin it and have it stay functional. And then our piece goes from here down to here. So what we're going to do is we're going to work one side at a time. We're going to glue this and put our little piece on this side, and that way it kind of holds it. And then we can work the other side by putting the gearbox in and the other link in that way. So let's figure out a glue we can use. Maybe this. I want these to the outside. Yes. So maybe what we'll do is we'll get it both glued on and set. Hope you guys can see this. I'll scoot back a little bit. There we go. At least I'm new to all this, so I'm just putting a little dab on each. Because I feel like that it may be easier to set it all both sides than it would be to I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's hold on, guys. I'm going to double check something here. Yeah, so it, and those go out, or those are going down. So it's definitely like this. So it shows it going in, and then this goes to that, which should be right. Oh no, I did say it wrong. So let's get rid of the glue off there. Okay, I've got gorilla fingers, so we should be able to work with this like this. And know that we're going to put a drop of glue here. Excessive. Just right. There we go. So now we know that these go like this. Right? Down and out. Oh, see? This is really confusing. I was going to do this off camera because I knew it was going to be so confusing, but so we know this has to go this way. Whoops. And this has to attach here. And see, it spans those wheels out. Retro raggy. Yeah, so your wheels would be turned. If you guys can see this. So if I put this here like it's supposed to be, right there, and I put this one right there, this wheel is somewhat straight. This wheel is turned out. The driver's side wheel would be turned, like you can see, like this a little bit. Versus them both being, you know, perfectly straight. This is wider than that allows. So it's either having the tires sit like this instead of straight, or have one straight and one turned out, if that makes any sense. Which for display purposes is not bad, but in the same fact, so I guess we will do one side. And we're going to see. So we'll just set this, turn that out of the way, get this in here, and we're going to get it where it needs to go. Where's our, hit it with a dose of that. So we know now if we were to see that would be functioning. So now we got to play with this. So if we span the tires out a little bit, that one's really far out. So you guys can see what I'm working with here. So if I put this one up in place and line the spindle up, my tire, driver's side tire, looks like it's turning, and the passenger side, or driver's side straight, passenger side's turning. So see, that's how it'd have to go. So I'm not too happy about that. The frame mounts line up. So why is that not lined up? That's kind of aggravating, guys, actually, to be truthful. Well, I guess it is what it is, so we'll get a little drop on there. There we go. That's what we want to see, and we will marry them together. Just keep that off. All right, hold on a second. Now, I like the look. Get that to focus. I like the look of that part being on there. Get it where you can see it. There's nice detail. You can see it down in there. Kind of like where it's supposed to be. But I'm not happy with how this wheel turns out, where I would have both wheels straight. It's okay if it's sitting at this angle. It gives that nice look, that curb side look. That part's cool. Our two posts line up right here, so we can get our link put on. This little doodad right here. So that's going to be our next step. We'll do this side first. So let me get one of these removed here real quick. Let's see. A little cleanup there. There's a tab on the back side. I don't know what that's for. It doesn't show it being important. So we're going to try to put this in dry, and then we'll add a little glue and some old Bob Smith Industries stuff. This is going to be hard to do on camera. As we can see, we are and then we just dropped it. Never fear, tweezers are here. You guys can see it. So there is a bigger hole and a smaller hole. The smaller hole would be for the link up here. The bigger hole goes on the whatever that's called. So we want to put that on and not drop it on the floor again. We can put that on with our finger, and we're going to move it around here and then put it on there like that. So hopefully you guys can see. Let that focus. There it is. So that's how that goes. So we want to, we're just going to dab our CA glue. Get a good bind. And we're going to come back with a, where'd he go? Here we go. Always keep a scrap piece of styrene around, and we're going to manipulate that CA glue around there so it's not all clumped up. We let it kind of capillary action, so to speak, get in everything, and then we're going to hit it with a little Instaset. Best friend in these little situations, and that binded it really good. So now we've got to get our gearbox in and our other link, and that's probably where we'll cut this in at. I'm sorry for it being short, but I really want this to set up really good and come back and fiddle with it a little bit and see if there's something I need to do. Maybe I can get this wheel straight. So until all this really dries really well and, you know, is 100% secure, I won't know that. And I like to go rinse all this extra Instaset off. I usually have a rag here too. No bueno. So this is going to be the tricky part. So we see, we'll bring the instructions back up here. We can see this part. And if we put it at the same angle, we know that it's going to go up through that hole. So we're not worried about that because the hole's pretty big. This will slide up through it. It's the pitch and the angle we want to have this on. Get this right here. Okay. So we want, it looks like there is a piece there. Oh, it's got a pin. Huh. Steering gearbox. So we're putting it here. It's going out here. It's going to go up. So yeah, about like this. So we need to get this glued in here. And then we can kind of take back, because this has got to be down this way so that link will connect to that. And then that tells you the angle right there. So let me get a little dab of glue on there. Where did we go? And we're going to be a little liberal here because we can always come back and clean it up a little bit. Again, we know the gearbox has to go this way. So we kind of want that right there. Follow the angle. Hit it with some Insta-Set, and that should be good. So now all we got to do is put our little link in, our last one here, and we'll kind of do that the same way. Get it cleaned up and do any additional cleaning we need to do to it. The big end is going to go on the gearbox itself. The small end will go on the idler arm. And yeah, we got a little cleanup to do. Nothing major, tedious. Just clean it up a little bit. So once it's all painted, you're not going to really see it anyways. But now we know we got that on. We want to come in and just hook that on. And we're going to bring it around. And this is where our tweezers come in handy. We want to manipulate this one back a little bit. Whoop. Let me get to where I can work on it here. We want to get it connected to the idler. This is where my nerves run me ragged. There we go. So I know I can push up on that a little bit. And here's where you want to check. Make sure that this idler arm does not creep down past your front frame. It looks good left to right. It's equal. Nothing's been pushed or, you know, is too big. So we know we got that in. Now we can repeat the same process. A little glue. Just a little bit. And I got too much, so that's probably enough. We'll clean it up with our little scrap piece. Let it capillary action a little bit. We'll get a little dab down in there. There we go. In the same way, we want to clean it up. We don't want a lot of excessive glue. We want it to be... And the best thing about those sanding sticks, guys, you can come in and hit these little areas like this. Hit it with some Insta-Set. 2 squirts makes the world go round. And so like I said, so now we just got to let it set and dry. And now that I've been looking at it and I'm handling it, I want to test fit the floor pan to our hole. If you guys can see. Get that up in there. Mary's right in there. Make sure our angle is good. We sit down in our holes. Everything lines up great. And you can see the gap up there. And like I said, we will use that black putty and make that look more realistic so there's not air just whipping up through there. And it all fits well. This will come down and meet better. Hopefully. There we go, a little bit. I still think I need to notch this a little bit here. On both sides for that matter, to allow that to sit down. And I think we will, because somewhere along the line somebody got off on this, so I want you guys to be able to see what I'm talking about. So where my finger's pointing to, get it to focus. See how it notches up and comes down? It should be out in front of that A-arm. It shouldn't be sitting on the A-arm. So that was a miscalculation on the engineer that designed this hunk of plastic that now I got to fix. So we will. So while we got it in place, let me find a marker. Oh my God! I'll get that later because I'm not fooling with that again. I had a marker out here, I thought. Well, it's too big. Here we go. We'll use blue. This is where test fitting always comes in handy. So we can see we've got to clear about this much from that notch over. We need to clear that out where the blue line is. That way that sits down like it's supposed to in the front, so the body's not raising up in separation. And same way here, we look down through there and see the side of the A-frame. We know we got to come up about here, and we just follow the line over. So we're just going to create a little notch. And worst case scenario, it doesn't do nothing, and you're not going to see it once it's primed and painted. But I believe I'm usually right. I got to come out a little bit more, guys. I like to color that in, that way I know all that space has got to go bye-bye. And then I can take it off carefully, remembering your steering shaft. And we'll set that there, and then we can come through here, and we'll color this in. We know all this has got to go bye-bye. So now we can look and see. We got plenty of clearance to do it. Both sides, no big deal. And then get the cap on this so we don't dry it up. Get our lids on the glues, and we'll do this real quick, and then we will put that out of the way so we don't break it. And this is where I like to be a little more accurate and geometrical, I guess, is I'm going to clip it there, and then I'm going to come in and clip it out here, and I can clean up with a knife. Same way here. You know, my marker line is not the straightest. That's where we want to be straight with our snips. And, you know, some stuff blocks us from getting in there all the way that we have to come back and clean up with a knife. So you can still see there's marker, you know, right here and here. So this is where we come in, and then we just clean up our edge. I'd rather remove all marker and have a little too big of a gap, because then at the end of the day, you're not really going to see it anyways. And then this, we didn't get real straight, so we'll just, that looks pretty good. And then this, we want to straighten up a little bit. There we go, guys. You can see. And then this side, we want to take off. Got a question. Is anybody else watching the draft? Sorry about bumping the camera there, guys. This is all really relatively new to me, trying this angle. I hope you guys like this angle better. I kind of do. I can kind of see what I'm recording and still see what I'm working on. So, we see we got to take a little more out down here. I'm not worried about removing 100% of the marker, because at the end of the day, it's kind of rough. I can look down through there and see I'm lined up really good with the other side. This is where it all matters, guys. Remember, get it, stick it up through that hole carefully. And then we get down here. Now we know we got locator pin marks for the frame to attach to the floor pan. So we want to make sure all those are in the right spot. And then we look down here on our side. Boom, look at that. It came down quite a bit. So now we know we can pull this up and glue it. And we'll have to probably clamp it, but we know we got that. There we go. We got that clearance now away from the A-frames. Reality, I mean, we may run into a problem here when we go to final assemble. We can kind of check that real quick. We'll grab the body, turn it upside down. We'll kind of fit this in and see. There's no interior, so it's not going to keep it up where it should be. But we can get a pretty good idea. Well, let's take this off. And know that, there we go. We got to be there for the body. So now if we take this, make sure you line up your hole so you don't break that off. And then where the frame's supposed to be. See, our wheels are centered perfectly, or the wheel wells. Then we get that in there and we clamp that down. It sits how it's supposed to. So yeah, and I'm eyeballing that, and that actually has a little bit of a rake. The front axle will be up a little bit. The back one will be down a hair. You can kind of see there. If I was to scoot it out, you could eyeball from center of pin to center of axle hole. That is your wheelbase. And you can see this is down this way a little bit more than this one. So if I was to put a level or a true edge against them, it would sit, this end of the ruler would be down further, this end would be up a little further. So that's kind of the rake we want. We didn't want true 70s hot rod. The back of the van's all jacked up. If we were going to put super wide tires on here in the back, that would be awesome. But we're working with pad printed tires, so we don't want to. I just don't have any that would match what the front tires and the tires to the trailer would be, and I'm trying to keep that all unified. So, we got a little rake to it, which is hot rod. We'll put the traction bars on it. We got the lake pipes coming out. The motor's built a little bit. It's got a nice cam in it type thing, and a nice subtle look to it. So we'll call it quits here. You guys let me know what you think. Jazz fingers. I'm really having fun with this, and I think by me not being so dedicated down here all the time like I was, it really gives me perspective, gives me time to think and reflect back of what I've done, what I need to do, how it's all coming together. And you can kind of see where that firewall needs to come down in the front and hit the frame rails there. So we know that by making that room, we just cleared an issue that would have popped up on us. So if you get this kit, just be mindful to fit that together. Make sure you notch that out so it clears that upper A-frame, and your front end will come down. And by it coming down, which means the front tires will go up a little, and your back tires, you can even see it sitting there. It's got a little bit of rake, just because of the way they designed the rear leaf springs and everything, which is all we want. We got that nice little slope, nice meaty headers coming out the sides. We got some traction bars in the back. It's a daily driver, a weekend cruiser, take the boat to the lake, whatever it may be. So next installment, we will, I'll have the engine put together and ready to be primed. We will airbrush this one too. We're going to paint it Chevy engine orange, be true to the nature. And then part 6, part 7 will show installing the engine and the drivetrain, and we'll be getting the tires and wheels and everything on it. Part 6 will be in the spray booth. You'll probably see glimpses of the Cutlass getting primed also at the same time. This getting its first coat of primer so we can check over everything, and getting the chassis and floor pan primed and painted. That way we come back and do all the assembly. So the only thing that will be really left is the interior. And we'll have to get in here and do a lot of hand painting. So when you're looking through the windows, it all kind of matches the interior. But I'm happy. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments. And yeah, I appreciate everybody watching. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave your comments down below. Pick this great kit up at Hobby Nut Models. The link's always down below. Build it along with me. Or just build it. Customize it. My chassis came out. Or did we even have that glued in? Yeah, we had that glued in. Apparently I didn't glue it very well. So, yeah, always be mindful, again, you guys, your pinion angle. You want it to be true to the drive shaft and the transmission angle. So what I'll do is I'll get the engine put together. I'll saddle it in here. Put the drive shaft in. That kind of stuff, and see what angle this needs to be exact. And then we'll get it re-glued in. Not a big deal. I think I just had it tacked originally, so we'll get it glued permanently. We'll find our traction bars. We'll get those, and we'll probably prime those separately and paint them separately, and then attach them when we do our final assembly of the whole chassis. So again, hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a long process, but it's limited time. I'm not super happy with the angle, but the more I think about it, I'll probably be viewing it from this side, and that wheel being turned will be a nice feature for just sitting there, to look at it. And then if I want the straight look, I guess I can turn it around and look at it at that angle. That's just a poor design right there, guys. The way it's supposed to attach. It should have been short enough that both these spindles be straight, especially if you wanted to pin it and make it all functional. Now there was different idler arms, whatever you want to call them, that could have been used to to make it functional, but I didn't want to, but it only gives you the one idler arm to use, so there wasn't a shorter version or a longer version. So it's a foobarred there, and they foobarred with the floor pan being notched out enough to clear the A-frames. So there's some discrepancies. Just keep in mind if you guys are building this, something look forward to, or make sure that you pay attention to, because you get to final assembly and then you're gonna be like, uh-oh, and we don't want that. But yeah, we got a full suspension basically, other than putting the diff back in. This is, once it's dry and set up, a little bit of light sanding. We'll give it a good wash, blow it dry. It'll be ready to go into the spray booth. So that's what'll be going on next time. Yay! And again, I hope you guys like this camera angle. Let me know what you think down in the comments. The camera angle, good. Should I come in from the side again? I like this really well. It works, and I think I'm getting most of everything in frame, or at least where you guys can be observant of what I'm doing. And that's just the key thing to this series, is making sure you guys get to see. I'll talk along, and we're getting there, guys. I mean, it's fits together really well, especially now that we notched that out. I know that I'll have to force that down, but once you force that down, everything sits perfect. Really nice. So yeah, it won't be long, and we'll have this in primer. We probably will stop once everything's been primed and ready for final assembly on this, and then we'll move to the custom part, which is painting the boat and this, and we'll just break that up in the series. So again, subscribe if you haven't. Hit that bell notification. It's free. You'll know when this series comes out. And I hope you guys are enjoying this. The way you can tell me is down in the comments. Leave a comment. Let me know. That gives me an indication that you guys are enjoying this or you're not, and so on and so forth. So until the next one, guys, this is Rusty Rotor. I'm out.